to start with, I would like to understand about your institution and the growing importance of it at this point of time.
Of course. So I founded this company, it's Evolve Brain Training, a couple of years ago. And what we do is we help people, individuals, businesses, children, adults, to improve their memory, focus, but also things like anxiety, stress management, depression, sleep disorders, all of this, including peak performance. And as you rightly mentioned, in today's day and age, especially with the kind of world we are living in right now, people's anxieties are only increasing and the stress they have to deal with is only increasing. So that's what I try to work on at my center.
Mm-hmm. So it is also something like brain mapping, which your institution does. If you can, talk about it more in detail, how has it been helping you, understand your clients better?
Yes, so the kind of brain training technology we use here is called neurofeedback. So neurofeedback means feedback for the brain. So an analogy I often use is, imagine you're walking by a mirror and your hair is messed up. Now, when you look in the mirror, you get that information about your hair being messed up, so you fix it, right? Mm-hmm. So that is exactly what we do with your brain. We show the brain its own activity in real time, and when the brain sees what it's doing wrong, it can essentially self-correct and self-regulate. Because our brains and our bodies, we have a self-correcting mechanism, but only if they know what they're doing wrong. So that's where we come in. We basically hold a mirror up to the brain and be like, brain, look what you're doing. As soon as the brain sees what it's doing wrong, then it can fix itself. Now, the way we show the brain what it's doing is using EEG sensors that we attach to the scalp. So these EEG sensors are listening and monitoring your brain activity. Then this information about your brain activity is translated by my software onto a video output. So during a neurofeedback session, you'd be sitting in a chair, watching something on Netflix while the sensors are attached to you. And the Netflix screen will change in size and in clarity, and the sound will change in volume in real time based on your own brain waves. So as your brain is doing different things, the screen and the sound will change. Now, say, for example, you want to improve your focus. Then every time you are focused, the sensors will sense that, and the screen will immediately become full screen, it will be clear, and the sound will be good. But if you get distracted, bored, think other thoughts, screen will start becoming smaller, blurrier, and the sound gets more muffled. Now, the big screen and the good sound, they are a positive reward for the brain. Brain likes it, so brain will try to do more and more of the activity that gives it that positive reward. So it will try to be more and more focused, or more calm, or more positive, whatever it is we're training your brain to do. Eventually, when you do this kind of training many, many times, this new way of being more focused or being more calm becomes your brain's natural habit. So even when you're not in my office doing this exercise, you are at home, at work, your brain remembers these tools and techniques because of the process of neuroplasticity. And then that becomes your new brain. So that's the way that we help people with this technology.
Right. So if someone opts for that, offering, so how long does the process take, and what are the challenges, you've come across when you're dealing with such clients, just specifically to brain mapping?
So brain map. So this, what I'm talking about is brain training. But before we do any brain training for anyone, there's a bunch of other steps. So first we do a full consultation where we ask them detailed questions about their eating habits, sleeping habits, past history, thoughts, anxiety, all of that to understand their brain better. Then we do this brain mapping. Brain mapping essentially is we collect data from different parts of their brain and we compare it to the data collected from brains of other people, their age and their gender, to see where they fall on the spectrum. Now, if they are below or above the normal threshold in any of the parameters, then it gives me some indication that they might have issues with anxiety or ADHD, or which part of the brain is affected and how much training will be needed. Then they also do another test that measures their attention span, impulse control, and these other parameters. And finally, we ask them to do their own symptom tracking. So we have a list of over 100 symptoms, and they can pick up to 20 symptoms that they really want to track. So whether it's their sleep quality, whether it's their focus, whether it's their procrastination, whatever, and they rate it, how bad it is before they start any training from 0 to 10. And then based on all this information, based on the consultation, their brain map results, their test scores, and the symptoms, then I create a personalized training program based on all of that. And then we start with the first 10 sessions of neurofeedback. After we do these 10 sessions, we repeat the brain map again to see the changes in the brain. Then we repeat the test to see how their scores have improved. And the thing I personally care about the most is the symptom tracking. Because if they tell me they're able to focus better, they're able to sleep better, they're less anxious, that's what I care about more than what the map or the test says. But the map and the test are good quantitative data of their symptoms improving. Then we do 10 more sessions of neurofeedback, so 20 sessions total, and then again repeat all the testing. The reason we do 20 is because we're essentially training the brain to learn a new habit. Now, for somebody who is anxious, their brain has, over the last 10, 15 years, gotten into this habit of overactivity. So we need to break that pattern, create a new pattern until the new pattern becomes a habit. And for anything to become a habit, your brain needs to repeat it at least 21 times. That's why I recommend a 20-session program. Now, that doesn't mean you have to wait 20 sessions to see the benefits. Most of the clients start seeing changes from session 5 or 6 onwards, but for these changes to be long lasting, so they don't need to keep coming back to me, that's why we do 20 sessions. And most of my clients are happy with anywhere between 20 to 30. Now, again, exactly how many sessions they need will be dependent on each person's individual conditions, how long they've had it for, how severe the conditions are. But generally, people do between 20 to 30.
So, are kids more, easier to pick up? Do they pick it up more faster, or the young adults?
It depends. Generally, kids' neuroplasticity is a lot more, and it's easier for them to learn any new habit compared to adults. But it's not necessary. I mean, it doesn't mean that adults cannot benefit from it. In fact, most of my clients are adults. I do work with children also, and depending on how severe the condition is. So if somebody has severe ADHD, they will of course take longer to see the changes than somebody with mild ADHD. So it also really depends on each child and each person's starting condition. But yes, in general, kids do find results quicker than now.
Right. And what's the client profile like? What's the age group of your clients?
So my youngest client is 5 years old. My oldest is 69. So, and everywhere in between. So I have children, I have men, women. I also work with corporates. So I do corporate training. So I have CEOs of companies. I have entire organization, like, groups. So people of different ages and people with many different conditions. So everything ranging from sleep disorders all the way to motivation, peak performance, creativity, artists, athletes, all of this.
Right. So when you say corporate training, if you can, emphasize on how does that happen? It's again an individual level or it's in a group level? Because when you say corporate, most people look at it as a group level activity.
Yeah. So the neurofeedback training part of it is individualized because it's personalized training. We talk to each person and see what they're. But then we also have a separate program for corporate. So along with brain training, you can match it with our brain boosting workshops, which is actually something I started doing over lockdown, because a lot of my clients who couldn't come in for the sessions because of lockdown kept asking me, what can you do at home? I want to work on my brain health. I want to stay mentally sharp. So I designed this workshop specifically. So I started doing them online. I started doing them on Instagram, and then people saw it and they loved it. And they were like, "Can you do it for our corporation, or for our organization?" So these workshops are basically 45-minute to 1-hour workshops where I have exercises that people do along with me. So it's a live workshop. I'm doing them and they're doing them at home or in person once a lockdown is lifted. And these exercises are focused on different parts of the brain. So we do some right brain exercises which help on improving innovation, creative thinking, abstract thinking. Then we have left brain exercises that help for focus, attention, analytical thinking. We have the prefrontal cortex training for rational thinking, decision making, left-right brain connectivity, all these different things. And I generally recommend a multi-session package for corporates because we work on all these different areas of the brain and the exercises build on top of each other. So if you've done something one time, the next time you will be better at it, and then we add in a new element. And then the next time we add another new element. So the idea is basically to challenge all these different areas of the brain and activate and stimulate them continuously. Because sometimes we don't realize, if we work in if you're a banker, you're very left brain oriented. You're going to be really good at numbers, you're really good at this, but we're not activating like certain parts of our brain at all. So it's really nice to have this kind of holistic approach to brain training where we work on different areas of the brain and stimulate different areas of the brain and continuously keep challenging our brain. That's how we can stay sharp and stay fit. And even as our bodies get older, our brains don't actually have to get older.
Right. So, generally, what is the response in the first session, and by the end of the session, what is the general takeaway that they, because you considering you take feedbacks from all these clients, so what's the final takeaway that they have?
I do have a feedback form that I send out, and I have a 97% are there like they want to do it again, or they would recommend these sessions, or they would want to do more sessions. But the idea is like not only what they learn, or not only what they do with me during the session, but I give them these exercises and tips that they can do every day at home. So every day they can use these exercises. They're simple. I mean, we can do one right now if you are interested. It's just a simple exercise.
Okay.
It's for left-right brain connectivity. It helps multitasking. It helps for hand independence, and it helps to keep your. It actually helps protect your brain from future neurodegenerative diseases.
Right.
And it's something you can do at home. So you use your hands for this one. So you make a thumbs up sign with one hand, and then you have your pinky out with the other.
Okay.
Now you have your thumb up with the other hand and pinky out with the first hand. Now we're going to do them both together at the same time. Thumb and pinky, and we switch and switch and switch.
Oh, okay.
And switch. So if you're doing it for the first time,
yes,
it will be hard.
Yes. Oh, yes. So these are the tricks, methods you use to train the brain, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
But and so you keep if you keep doing this more and more. Now, why is this exercise important? For example, so your right hemisphere of the brain is controlling your left hand. Left hand of the brain is controlling your right hand. And our hands are used to mirroring each other's actions. But when you give each hand a different action to do, it really challenges the brain and actually promotes a better connection between your left and right hemispheres. And a more connected brain means a brain better protected from future neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. So this is just one simple example. But basically, I give them a tool kit that they can take home and how they can expand on it. So I give them one, and I tell them that, oh, now you can add on this, and you can do this, and you can do this. So something they can do continuously at home. And if you come back to me for the next session, you will be better at this, and not just better at this exercise, but better at the real life applications of it, which is multitasking. And for example, if you're a keyboard player or a guitar player, you will have better hand independence, or motor skills if you're an athlete, all of this.
Okay, so during this period, due to the COVID and everyone staying at home, how much business have you seen? Increase in business have you seen, or was there really an impact to your overall business in positive way or negative?
The business, I mean, because of lockdown, obviously I had to keep my office closed, so clients weren't coming in. As soon as I open, most of them have come back because they are going through a lot of anxiety and stress related to whether it's job loss or just general anxiety and stress. So I have seen a huge increase, and also during lockdown we started doing these workshops. So a lot of people came to me for those. And then I was also doing online consultations, so talk therapy, and a lot of people were interested in that as well. So we saw an increase in all these online things, which I had never even delved into before. It was always in the back of my mind to develop a program like this that I can start doing. So I'm kind of grateful for the lockdown time that it actually gave me the time to come up with this program to help more people. Now I don't actually have to be with them to help them. I can do it through online. I can do it in different countries. I can do it in, so that's that.
So now, which countries have you got response from?
So I've done it for like international programs also. So even though the person that contacted me was from Dubai, but they have branches all over. So people were joining in from all their different, wherever they have the branches, I think 4 or 5 different countries. I've done one for the US. I've done a couple for India, and I've done lots over here in Dubai.
So basically, so you want to make this as a permanent program, online program?
Yes.
Right. So so then you will have different trainers training them, or you would only be involved on a personal level?
So it depends on how busy I get. I mean, if we expand that way, I would love to train somebody else so that more people can do this, and we can, more people can have access to us.
Right. And you were planning, you had some plans of expansion, if I don't. So if you can just talk about that, as well as now because of COVID, do you plan to continue with that, or do you plan to have something new?
Yeah, so for my brain training center where we do the neurofeedback therapy, I was planning on expanding. I was planning on, like, even in the GCC area as well as in India. Has been pushed back, but it's still there. It's still there. I mean, I thought it would take, it would take a long time to get back to the point where I can do this. But just seeing the response in the last couple of weeks that we've been back, and the clients that are coming in that I did not expect. So I feel like it might be sooner rather than later. So
Right.
I'm hopeful.
So
Two questions. How many people do you have on your program right now? And what is your target for the number of people, let's say 6 months time?
Well, right now, I think I have around 200 clients.
Okay.
But the plan for the next 6, I mean, the plan is kind of skewed because of, so before my plan was, before all of this happened, my plan was to have 3 centers by 2021. So I'm going to try to still target that.
Okay. So at present, it's only 1 center.
Right now, it's just 1 center, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of online presence, that also, because you mentioned 200 clients, that is including online clients, or?
It's including online clients.
Okay.
I have like 150 here in my center who come into my center, and then there's the other.
Okay, right. So generally, in terms of corporates, what kind of feedback? I mean, what are the challenges do you come across? Because specifically ones who are working, in terms of they have a different level of stress in terms of a kid who's going to school. So how do you evaluate that? If you just give an example on how you try to train a kid and how you try to train an adult for that matter.
So, like, I mentioned before we do any training, the feedback that we take, the consultation and the brain map. So that is the main thing that determines
that is constant. Okay.
That is the same for everybody. And everyone's answers, like whether you're a kid or an adult, your answers are going to be different. With a kid, we're just a little more careful because neurofeedback is based on so when we work on your brain, you need to go home and then tell us how you felt the next day. So the feedback we get from you allows us to plan your next sessions. So with kids, sometimes it's hard to get honest feedback because they'll always be like, oh, I was fine, I did my homework. Like they won't be able to tell you how they really feel. So you have to rely on parents or on teachers' feedback. So that's the only difference. But most people, if they're coming to me, they already want to improve. So they want, they want to tell me whatever's going on. They want, they have their goal. So it's not been, I thought it would be difficult, especially in this part of the world where there is still some stigma associated with mental health issues. But I have not personally seen that because I think by the time someone comes to me, they know they want the help. So there's not, there's no, I haven't seen any pushback or anything regarding that.
Right. So because you touched upon this topic that mental health is not really something really people talk about. So in case of India also it's no different. So how do you plan to address that in difficult countries when you're planning to expand to such countries, because it's a different game altogether?
Yeah, so I always, even with my center, my initial, I always try to make it as peak performance. So I'm not saying that you need to come to me because you're sick. I'm saying that you come to me if you want to be better than whatever you are doing right now. So that's the narrative I always go with. Because of course you're not going to perform well if you're stressed. Of course you're not going to perform well if you're anxious. So rather than focus on your stress and anxiety, I'm just going to be like, do you want to be better? Do you want to have more focus? Do you want to have a better performance? Do you want to be more productive? Do you want to be more efficient? I can help you with that. And then in that, if we address your anxiety issues, stress issues, of course we're going to do that. So I think that's the way I like to project the image. And it is what we do. We help you improve, we help you get better, we help you get to the next level. And if that means getting rid of your past traumas, past whatever it is, to get where you want to be, then that's what we do.
Right. So these are, I mean, I have these many questions. Mr. Bhaskar wants to.
No, I have just one question, which I don't know whether you want me to include the interview or not include. That's your choice. Okay.
Okay.
It's my exposure to Buddhist techniques in concentration and meditation. The Vipassana concept again in meditation. The yogic exercises, which also address each of the strains and stresses that people go through. And they also get a feedback from you. How do you feel today after yesterday's exercise? How would this be different from all those exercises, which also have a tremendous impact and curative ability?
So it's not different. It's in fact the same thing, but some people find it difficult to meditate. It's not easy.
So this is a technology which makes it easier.
Yes. In fact, people that come to me, they, people that are interested in meditation, but they're like, oh, I can only meditate for 10, 15 minutes. After they do my training, they're able to meditate for an hour. because we have changed those patterns in the brain with the same thing that meditation does.
And you've got a screen which makes it more interactive. So you
correct. Yes, it's just an easier way to get there. But because the goal is the same.
No, the reason I asked you this question is because say 65, 70, I was very familiar with Stanford's experimentation with the mind. Again, there is little electrodes attached. Yeah. They could teach you how to meditate better.
Absolutely.
Focusing on the sounds that the mind.
Absolutely. That's the thing. It's the same technology.
Okay. That was the only thing that I wanted to check out.
Yes, it really is. It really is true, because so when you meditate, so in our brain, there's different brain waves. There's delta, theta waves, alpha waves, beta waves, all of that. So the delta waves are your slowest brain waves. The theta waves are the state between consciousness and asleepness. It's, you know, sometimes when you're zoning out or daydreaming, that's when you're.
That's the time when you're the most intuitive. That's the time when you're parapsychological, paranormal powers also.
Yes. Alpha state and theta state both. Alpha state is a relaxed awareness, and when people meditate, there's a huge spike in their alpha state and their theta state.
Yes.
And part of our brain training, we also do alpha theta training. So that is, you get feedback to increase your alpha and your theta based on the sound you're hearing. And when the brain hears a louder sound, it increases its theta, it increases its alpha.
Which is what yoga does, which is what the Buddhist techniques of meditation do. They actually raise your level of consciousness and make you.
The same thing.
Exactly. Okay. I thought so, but I thought I'd ask you that question at the end.
Yeah.
Cecilia, I have no more questions.
Cecilia?
Yeah.
Oh, she's on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. So yeah. So would you like to add something more, just in case if you have missed out on anything?
I just want to say that we all. Today, everybody is like so concerned with like working out and staying fit and eating right and all of that stuff. And we shouldn't forget about our most important organ, which is the brain. And the brain also needs exercise, just like your body needs. And that's what I offer here is a gym for your brain. Whether it's through my brain training sessions in person or through my online workshops, the whole idea is to keep exercising and stimulating your brain so that your brain never gets old and it remains strong, resilient, flexible, and able to adapt to any changes, anything life throws at you, to remain resilient. And that's what I help people with. That's what I help corporates with. That's what I help individuals with, children, adults, everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bas.